Well, it is super cold out there. I don't know where you're at, but where I am, it is cold. And what do you want when it's cold? Some nice hot soup. Today, we're going to be making ramen. Yes, legit ramen, not your instant ramen. This is going to be a ramen inspired by Sano-san himself. So let's dig in. This is an easy recipe. We can make it happen. Let's go.
Everybody loves ramen. Let's face it. Well, not everybody, but most people do. Welcome to another episode of Hungry Without a Cause, where I take bold flavors and have them meet gourmet simplicity so that they can pack a flavorful punch when you do make these recipes. Now today, I gotta say, I just mentioned ramen. Ramen is insanely delicious. But I can tell you, when I decided to mature a little bit and not eat top ramen or instant ramen, for example, no offense to those things, and I ate legit ramen, it changed my world. And this recipe today is based off of the Sano-san ramen. Now, this is a recipe that does take some time. You can get it done in about 4 to 5 hours, but it's definitely worth it, and it's not super hard to make. It's very simple, actually. It's complex in its flavors, it's delicious in its flavors, but it is not difficult to make. So, if you are new to this channel, definitely please watch through to the end of the video, like and subscribe if you like what you see here. And if you're an existing subscriber, thank you so much for the support. Let's go ahead and get in, and we're gonna make some ramen.
All right, to start everything off, I'm gonna go ahead and start with 1 liter of water. And to that, I'm gonna add 50 grams of konbu, which I'm gonna reuse later because I forgot to get extra konbu, and 2 dried shiitake mushrooms, and let them soak for about 1 to 2 hours. This is gonna be our dashi. That's what we're preparing first. Okay, and so now I have a hen here. This is gonna help make our broth, and what I'm gonna do is cut off the legs and the wings. I'm just very carefully cutting through the flesh, and then I'm gonna cut the tendons and the ligaments at the joint area. That makes it easier to pop it on out. And I want to give a shout out to Way of Ramen, because honestly, I checked out his Sano-san recipe many years ago, and I've been following it ever since, and it really helped me out. He has an awesome channel. I'll include a link below in the description, but definitely go check him out. He has a great channel. Mine has a few tweaks, so I will let you know about that. And so I'm going to flip over the bird now, and I'm going to cut through the center of the chest area, right through the breast, and then I'm going to score the sternum because I want to pop open the bird as best as I can. So very carefully, I'm popping that open, and I'm going to go ahead and include all of this, including the breast meat, in the broth. Now I'm going to go ahead and blanch the chicken, the whole hen that I cut up, and I'm just going to add first the chest area and everything in the back, and then I'm going to add in the legs and the wings and let these blanch lightly, and then I'm going to take them out, set them aside, and then I'm going to blanch the chicken feet before I start really making the broth in some new water. Once I have blanched all the meat, I'm going to go ahead and remove it from the pot, set it aside for our stock that we're going to start building in just a little bit here. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and blanch the chicken feet. Might sound gross to you, but it is essential. So I'm going to go ahead and blanch these now, and it's probably around a pound of chicken feet that I had left over from a previous ramen recipe that I made. So once they're all done, we'll take them out, set them to the side, get some new water and everything before we start the real new broth. So once the chicken feet are done, the not so fun part happens, and that's the trimming. So you have to get that little dark spot off. That is an ammonia burn. You don't want it in your broth. So just take some scissors, cut it off. You can rinse it afterwards. And then the worst part, which isn't a lot of fun at all, I apologize, but you do have to do it, is clip off the tips of the fingers so that you get those nails out of there. You don't want that in your broth. All right, now to start our broth. In a large pot, I'm going to go ahead and add in about 330 grams of pork femur bones at the bottom. You want this at the bottom before everything else. All right, then I'm going to add in our hen before our aromatics and everything else that we need to complete this broth. So all of our pieces from the hen go in, then our chicken feet, spread them around. Then I'm going to go in with a leek. You should use a green onion. I only had a leek. It was getting late, so I went with the leek. It'll be fine. And then half a Nappa cabbage. Then you want about 15 grams of ginger and half a white onion. And then we're going to come in with some carrots and half a bulb of garlic. So about 2 to 3 carrots. Then I'm going to add in the pork belly. So this is a piece of pork belly. It's about 66 grams there. You know, you can go with like half a pound of pork belly. That'll work too. And then you want to skim off any of this nasty stuff as it's in the boiling process with all that water in there. So you want to skim it off as best as possible because that's going to give your broth the best flavor and the best clarity. Now for this beautiful pork belly, but I do have to apologize to you up front. The video content of me braising the pork belly after the searing didn't happen. This isn't a super traditional chashu pork process, but it is very delicious. And I just add to the braising liquid, once it's been seared, about, just some salt and pepper to taste. So about a tablespoon of each, a cup of soy sauce, half a cup of mirin, half a cup of sake, half a cup of water, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 3 to 4 slices of ginger, 3 to 4 slices of garlic cloves have been smashed, and 3 green onions. And I bring that to a boil before covering it and putting it in the oven for 1.5 to 2 hours to braise. Now to prep our pork belly. So I'm taking a fork and I'm just puncturing the fat cap of the pork belly to help render out any excess fat. And then I'm going to go ahead and score across the meat in probably like a checkered, type of pattern here. Super easy. This really helps with the process. Then I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping it. So you want to get it pretty tight. I'm not the best at this, so you can always look up a good chashu pork recipe. Sometimes it comes out well for me. Sometimes it doesn't. Unfortunately, this one ends up unfolding in the oven later on, but it's still really good. It's pork belly. Come on. And so you want to get into a nice tight roll, and then you want to go ahead and start tying it. For the tying process, I'm going to go ahead and take some cooking twine and then make a nice tight knot at the end. And then I'm going to pull the string back, create a loop amongst itself, pull that loop over, and then tighten it down to cinch this guy down. And you just want to keep the process going, and then you'll tie it off at the end. So you'll loop it around each end lengthwise and give it a nice tight knot. Tension is the key here. And just a quick tip, you can also remove some of the excess meat from the side that you're rolling on, of course, and that'll help make it a lot tighter too. Now to sear this porky, I'm going to go ahead and in a hot pot, I'm just going to toss it in there, and I want to sear as many sides as I can possibly do. And yeah, so this is a fun part. I like to sear it first, get a nice char in it before I braise it. It gives it a really good smoky flavor. Now going back to our broth, so here's something you can add, which is dried shrimp. I'm adding about 16 grams. This is completely optional, and I'm going to mix it into the broth, but it helps with the flavor. So remember our dashi from earlier. It's been soaking for a while, so you can see that the konbu leaf is like looking really good here. It's nice and flexible now. It's not all hard and dry. And so I'm going to heat the saucepan up about medium heat here, and I'm going to add in our bonito flakes. This is about 33 grams of bonito flakes here. And I'm going to let this steep for a little while. Eventually, I'm going to strain this all out. Now that this has been simmering for a while, I can take out our konbu here. And it's time to add the dashi to our broth. So I'm going to just take a strainer here and I'm just going to pour it in so none of those bonito flakes get into the broth. I don't want them in there, and I don't want that shiitake mushroom, the 2 shiitake mushrooms we worked on, in there either. All right, and I have my Shio Tare going on the side. That's just some water in a saucepan. I'm soaking some more konbu leaves in there, and I want to really steep them in there for a little while under about medium heat. Then I'm going to remove those, and I'm going to add about 35 grams of katsuobushi. Next, you're going to see me add a mixture, and it's going to be 165 grams of salt, 100 milliliters of sake, 30 milliliters of mirin, and 10 milliliters of vinegar. And this is going to be followed by about 30 milliliters of shoyu soy sauce. So it's like a darker soy sauce. It's very delicious, and it's definitely necessary. All right, so after this has been simmering for some time, I'm going to go ahead and take that Shio Tare, and I'm going to go ahead and strain it out, because all that stuff that we added was dissolved except for the katsuobushi. We're extracting all of that here. And then I'm going to go ahead and start working on my broth. I'm going to remove all the aromatics, the meat, the bones, get all that out of there, and then I'm going to strain this out as well so that we can have a really nice, well-prepared broth. And as you can see here, I've got the smallest strainer for this. So unfortunately, my chashu pork didn't hold, the string came off, but it's all good. We still got delicious pork belly here, and I'm glad that happened because mistakes happen sometimes in the kitchen, and I like people to see my mistakes. I don't like to hide them, so I made a mistake here, but next time we can get it. So I'm going to go ahead and dice up the pork belly, and it's still super delicious. I can tell you this stuff is awesome. And all right, we're here. So I'm going to go ahead and start making this. So I'm going to start off with some Shio Tare. I'm going to add that to my bowl. I like quite a bit. Then I'm going to go in with the broth, followed by the meat, some soft-boiled eggs I made on the side, ramen noodles, and I'm also going to add in some garnish, which is going to be some chopped green onions, and I made some bok choy on the side, some baby bok choy, and I was like, hey, that would go really well on this, so I added it to it. You can always add in some dried seaweed and everything if you want to do that. I'm usually not one to add it, but my wife likes to, so you can always do that too. Now that everything's plated, we're ready to eat.
All right, so we're all done. Gonna go ahead and gonna go ahead and try this out. Not my first time having this, but every time it gets a little bit better, despite the hiccups. So I'm gonna start with the pork. Give me a little piece here. Oh yeah, I love it. It's nice and charred, just the right amount. That braised pork belly is perfect. And then we'll go to the broth. That is awesome. Okay, so it pays off to take your time with your food. This is amazing ramen. You don't have to buy the store-bought ramen. If you can, swing it and go out and get the recipe, like all the ingredients for the recipe, definitely do it. Build it in time. If you can't afford it right now, build it in time. Like, try every now and then, just get a little bit of each thing that you can have in your fridge, in your pantry, that you can save until you can really make it, because this is worth it. This is definitely worth it. This is so good. I love it. This is awesome. All right, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. I would love to see what kind of recipes you have in mind. We'll keep cooking.